Hey there, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Paint Party Livestream. It's so good to be with you here in the studio again this evening. It is brighter outside than it has been all winter. We had daylight savings time here in the United States, and so we have jumped ahead, and so it feels like spring is coming. Although we have had beautiful days the last few days, there is still some winter left for us here at the higher altitudes. So we're kind of watching that. It usually pops in and pops out. Last week it was Tuesday and Thursday. We got kind of blizzard, snowy weather, nasty weather, and then it's almost 60 degrees by the weekend. So yeah, that's just part of life in the mountains. But I hope you're having a great week and that everything is going well for you. This is episode 163 of the live stream. This live stream is my Learn to Paint journey. I started teaching myself to paint a few years ago, and so every week I meet with you here in my studio and we work on a different painting. If you've been around before, then you know how this works. It's really informal. You pop in, stay as long as you'd like or as you can, but you can participate in the live stream on whatever platform you're watching. You can make comments, ask questions. I really enjoy engaging with you, so please avail yourself of that and chime in as we go through the evening. The last several weeks, I've been working on paintings that I had started previously, and I'm trying to get all of those cleared out of my studio. And so I started painting when I first started learning using acrylic paint. Now I've transitioned to oil paint, and so I am finishing these paintings in oil paint. So I wanted to show you, those of you who were here last week, what the finished product of what we worked on. So if you were here last week, you saw us working on this painting. I did another one or two kind of passes at this painting, and it is pretty much done as far as my current level of skill, but I'm really happy with how it turned out. I think it is a beautiful painting, and it really captures that bright, exciting feel of this sunset, and I learned a lot compared to the original version underneath. It's kind of jarring how my ability has advanced over the last year or so. So I wanted to show that to you for those of you who had been here on the live stream. This evening we're going to continue working on another painting, and that is this one. It is the Church of St. Stephen, or the Igreja de Santo Estevão. My Portuguese is not great, but this is in Lisbon, and we need to do, this is kind of an underpainting I'd started it and not finished it, but yeah, it needs a lot of work and it needs some major adjustments. So we're really probably going to repaint this whole thing, make some adjustments to the proportions and the layout, but this is what we'll be working on. It will take us more than just this evening because it is quite a large painting. It's 14 inches by 11 inches, and so it's going to take us some work to get this done, but it is good to have you in the studio. Let me get everything set up. I'll switch cameras so that I can set this up over my canvas, and we will jump in. But welcome to those of you who are popping in. People kind of filter in usually when I start live streaming step by step throughout the evening. Again, you can participate in the live stream through the comments wherever you're watching us, so feel free to ask questions or jump in on those comments. I always enjoy engaging with you on the comments. So let me switch my camera over here to this one. As we get this set up, let's see, I need to pull up my reference photo. I have a copy for you all to see, so you can see the photo of this painting. And I think I want to grab, let's see, grab another painting over here as a reference, because I'm going to adjust some things on this painting. So this is the painting of the wall in San Juan. And I think I want to make this painting a little more, the one in of Portugal, of Lisbon, a little more, I don't know, saturated. I want the sky to be that really nice blue, and then the water I want to do more this color. So I'm going to use this as kind of a reference for a bright sunny day with the same kind of or very similar type of architecture. So that I'm going to put right here just so I can have it in view, because this photo is actually a little oversaturated, I think. All right, let me put my palette out here so you can see kind of the painting I'm mixing. Welcome, welcome. I see a few more people popping in. It's so good to have you on episode 163 of the Paint Party live stream. And I'm just getting things set up. So let's turn this around and get the camera set up so you all can see the painting I'm working on. We need to kind of make some fairly significant adjustments to this painting. So I'll explain what I see and why we need to make those adjustments as we go, but it will be a test of trial and error, really. Let me grab a few of these paints, brushes. Let's just see. We'll just put these over here. All right. Here is the painting as it is right now. And then we will begin to make some adjustments to this as we go. All right, let me get situated here. This is quite a tight fit in my studio, and there's cords everywhere and cameras in a lot of places. So, and especially with these, pardon my big head popping in there, but on these, we have, it's a fairly large canvas, 14 by 11 inches. And so I have to set my camera pretty far back in order for things to be seen. All right. Let's jump in here. All right. What we need, I have most of the paints I need out here. We'll use a lot of burnt umber or burnt sienna, sorry, burnt umber or raw umber here and ultramarine blue, but we'll also need probably some, we'll see, but we'll probably need some, may need some turquoise and some, definitely some cerulean blue, maybe some yellow ochre, but we'll see. Okay, so now the first thing we need to look at is our drawing, which seems a little off. So I kind of want to update that, especially where there's major issues that are off. So I'm going to take some of this raw umber here, and I'm going to dilute it with or use some mineral spirits, some odorless mineral spirits. And this will help the paint to dry quickly because the mineral spirits will evaporate out of the paint pretty quick. This will allow us to kind of put a drawing under or over this acrylic paint. So again, this is acrylic. So what we need is to bring our skyline up. So we need about a third. I'm just going to kind of put some lines here. Hey there, Mom and Dad. So good to see you. Let's bring this. That shows us, we can see how high this is sitting up in the plane. Okay. This is about correct. Maybe actually a little bit higher. But I want to kind of, and I think this is correct as well, approximately. So we have approximately a third, because I definitely want the church to be the focal point. And I think we'll shave a little bit off there. I want to correct this a little bit because I think it's a little off. Right. Welcome to those of you just popping in. Last week we had a really robust group. Tonight everyone's quiet so far, which is fine. Okay. Now I need to kind of place this line of and I may just take out the city and everything behind there, but obviously this needs to drop significantly. because the top of this should be, might have to bring this in even more. This, I think, is fairly correct, but we need to bring this down. Because this is at about half of the height here. Then I still think this is okay. I think it is okay to bring it down with this pretty dramatic slope. Then maybe we'll take some of that off. Again, this is all just kind of adjusting. I really messed up this roof line, and that throws the whole thing off, kind of, because there's, as I'm getting in, there's not a lot of other things that are off, but you can see how quickly that throws. Then start to pull this in. See this, I mean, this was pretty good. especially for kind of eyeballing it. Not too bad. If we get the right this is such a recognizable landmark, it's got to be correct. And almost every, I don't know, this was from they have these miradoros that are outlooks over the city. I don't know if this was from one of those, but almost every picture you see of the Church of St. Stephen is this same basic view. So I think this can go maybe more like that. This window needs to be much shorter. Because I want it to read like this is set a little bit back. I want that feeling of, we got to get this roof line correct, because it can't look like we're looking straight on. It's got to look like it's out that way. We just got to keep making adjustments till we get there. But I think it's coming. Even though these mineral spirits are odorless, they are not non-toxic, actually. That's why I keep them locked up. Not locked up, but sealed, generally. I'm going to turn on the fan in my studio as well. Let's see if I can get some air movement. it's pretty large space, and I don't use anything else toxic in my studio. So, but I will start to get a lightheaded or headache if I don't be careful. Okay, so this is where that picture of San Juan will help, because this is the mold, or kind of whatever is growing on here, is very similar to what's on the walls of the fort. The more detail we can put in, and the more accurate our drawing is. This is why I've learned, I didn't learn it as a skill, and I need to improve. It's kind of, wait, we have this, and here is where those little ledges are. But the more accurate my drawing is, the better. These adjustments, the building's already looking better, isn't it? I don't know if you all can tell that, but definitely. It's and this will have to come over a little bit. So we'll have to figure out how to draw this. So there, and then we'll have to really tweak that. Not sure how that's all going to work, but taking the time to do this is really important because so much of it was off. So that's why I'm taking so much time this evening to redo this, because I don't want to just, my tendency would be to just dive in, start just correcting things as I go. But number one, architectural things are not my forte. Therefore, I want to do what I can to make it right up front. This will work. So that window comes over kind of there. Then this comes over here. Kind of like that. Then this can come over. We'll have to let that kind of marinate a little bit, but I think that's pretty close. And we'll bring our thing out here and our little window there. Okay, now let's look at these. We have this, which is more like this. Forgot I'm cutting the kind of here. Then it goes up. I'm just going to put some color in where the windows might be. Something like that. We'll see. Windows there. This is the main thing. We got to get this right. And then the only other thing I really need to work on is the cupola. I think that's what that's called at the top of the church. This little thing. Let's see if we can get that corrected. So we have kind of a think this is kind of correct, except goes up here. Turns this. It's more like this. So it comes straight down, and there is this it is a circle there. And we have the cross up here. There we go. Now, just picture this. That's kind of where we're going. So now I need to think about what we need to do next. So welcome. A bunch of people popped in. Please feel free to ask questions or make comments as we go through. All right, now I need to start correcting the lines, and I think the best way to do that is to put in our water, cut in the water, because I may have to do multiple layers of that. So let's start, and I am going to oversaturate or kind of hypersaturate this water. So let's do, because I want that feeling of, even though it's in the bright sunlight in the picture and it's kind of clouded on the church, I want to emphasize that. I think I showed this at the beginning of the, so I want to go more for this, and then the blue up in the background. I want to do this kind of feeling more, so that it feels like, you know, you're out in the sun and you're doing. So let's see what, let's try to do a, so I need to mix some this. Then what we need is a little kind of a green. We want it that green, beautiful green color. So we're going to mix that with a little, I'm putting a little yellow ochre in there. So it's that really nice green. I'm not sure if that's going to be too dark. That's going to be probably too dark, so, or too green. So what we'll do is see if we can do some cad lemon, yellow medium. I think I want yellow medium. Oops. So let's see. We'll see. I'm just testing this out. I don't know exactly. Hey Sharon, thank you for popping in. Always so good to see you. I hope your week is going well. And I'll put some cad yellow in there. Then we'll mix a little bit. Let's see what we get. I'm trying to lighten. What I want to do is lighten this blue-green without losing. Okay, that's going to give us neon. That's a little excessive. So let's take some more blue. Oh, I might have to start over. That's a little too green. Too green. Okay. But I do like that turquoise. I wonder, actually, can I take this into it? What happens if I mix that green with the blue? I'm just taking some cerulean blue into it. Oh, that might work. We're bluing it down again. Let me put some more of this because we'll need this for sky. Put that out on the palette. Always makes me wonder, this is just a random thought, when I don't have, is anybody watching on YouTube? If you're watching on YouTube, would you drop a comment? I always wonder, did my software mess up, or did I, when everybody pops in from only one particular channel, always makes me curious. Okay, I'm wondering if I should go all the way. Maybe we'll do this. Basically, we'll take this up to there. Taking my, we'll probably have to do multiple layers of this because it is fairly translucent, especially the, I should have taken a picture of this. I guess I can screen capture it. But I should have taken a picture of this before we started working on it, because I have a feeling this is going to be pretty dramatic, the difference. I wonder, I'm not sure if I want to put that coastline in the back. I might just leave it, simplify it, and bring the water. Ah, thanks, Big Toad. Appreciate it. Good to see you. Thanks for popping by. We are salvaging, or attempting to salvage, this painting. Yeah, I think I'm going to go all the way, and just that coastline is going to be gone. So it'll just be ocean out there. I think in Lisbon it is actually the river comes through. I mean, it leads to the ocean. But I think this part of Lisbon, it's actually, since there's land on the other side, I think the river is, but technically, I'm just not sure about my memory. So that's what we need. And this will help us to recognize, once we get these big things corrected, it will help us recognize also if our drawing is as improved as I think it is. Yeah, I think this is the right decision. I'm not sure exactly how this will work, so we'll put water in here, and then it'll be wet, but we may have to come back and kind of mess with this a little bit. Can come back and touch this up also. With specific roof line things, but this will give us the general idea. All right. This is, yeah, I gotta remember that this line is coming over. All right, now we'll come over and do this side. Let's take our in here down to see. So it's quite an endeavor. Also, if I were doing this over, I would probably not paint this or choose to paint this. This subject is okay, but this particular reference photo is not great. And so I would probably choose to kind of not do it or do a different hey, thanks, Sierra. Yeah, I painted this a few weeks ago. I can't remember if I showed you this one. This is Old San Juan. And so I decided to go more this direction because it's the same, it looks the same, but this was like high noon, so the lighting was really bad and it was cloudy over the church. So I want to put it more in sunlight, and so yeah, and you can see the color. I had the water. It's amazing when you leave something and come back to it months and months later, how your skill level does a little hiccup. You're like, oh yeah, if I did that again, I would do that differently, or I would do this differently. So it's kind of fun, actually. At least during the my learning phase of my painting career, as I'm really, or my painting development, it's fun to go back and to these unfinished paintings and be able to take, it's almost like taking me from the future back, say, oh, now you know how to do this. This is a challenging painting. All architecture is hard because of the straight lines. I agree, Big Toad. It's a, yes, especially for me because I am drawn naturally to landscapes. And, you know, if a tree's crooked, you know, it's great. Or if the mountain's wonky, unless it's super recognizable. But, and especially this, again, this church, this view of this church is so specific that anybody who's ever been to Lisbon, pretty much, even if they don't know, like I had to look up actually what the name of the church was, but they will recognize that, you know, oh, this is that church. And if it looks funky, it's not gonna work. So, okay, now we have I think a much better representation of just putting, isn't that amazing, just putting that water line in the right color, fix that skyline. The skyline, remember, went clear up here, or not the skyline, the roof line went way up here. So that proportion was way off, because in my head, I saw the well, a few things. So here's the mistakes I made several months ago, some of them. In my head, I saw this roof line as much more pointed than it is. And I didn't know how to like get that right. Actually, I need to even bring that down more. So, and so, but also this afternoon I went in and put that reference photo into the actual proportions of my canvas panel, and that was a mistake. That's something that was an early newbie error where it's like, I just want to paint, and so you jump in with a reference photo and very arrogantly, although it's not pure arrogance, but oh, I can adjust it on the fly. I'll make this a little higher, this a little shorter, and I can do that. But it's like, why would you make, now present day Steve says to Steve 3-4 months ago, why would you make it so much harder for yourself than you have to? So that's what I did. That's the mistake. Now what I'd like to do is, man, this just, even the way it is, it already looks so much better and so much more like it just, and it really starts to capture it. Okay, now I want to come in and do some sky, redo the sky. I like the clouds, like even again putting this also in there makes these clouds jump out, but I want to do them, I like these clouds, how the composition of them, because it leads us, which that was a good intent, it's leading us to our eye here. It's all going like right here, and all the lines of these roofs point here, but I want to change the gradient of the sky a little bit based on what I know about skies. We want to do this, which this is almost fine. So I want to take, we basically want to go take some white into there, maybe a little green, just a little bit of this green just for cohesion. Not much, I tell you. But this is the reflection of the sky, so we want to incorporate some of that in there, because we don't want it just blue. Okay. So I'll come in. You won't be able to, it's very faint. You won't be able to hardly see the difference. But as we go further down, we will. We're just putting a little bit of blue, or a little bit of that green in there. Because our darkest, or our most saturated blues will be up here. Again, the reason physics-wise, is because when you're looking across a horizon, you're looking through the maximum amount of atmosphere or atmospheric manipulation at the horizon level. And so you will have your truest kind of saturation up above. So as we go down, and I'm going to kind of paint around these cloud structures because I like how they are, the composition of them, so I kind of want to keep that and then just refine that with the oil, almost like just basically highlights. If that makes sense. Of course it does. Yes, Mr. Steve, it makes sense, they say. Sorry, I'm talking to myself now. Boo, boo, boo. Okay. Now, I'll just put this on here, again, coming as close to this as possible. And then we will reverse this. We'll mix in some lighter colors and bring that up. Okay. What I want to do is first do a line here, right under the clouds, because I want that feeling. I think by making these clouds basically have a pretty significant like starting point. I mean, I'll have to come in and adjust that a little bit, but now I'm going to start adding the white here. Hey Bob G, yes, this is an old one we started months ago, probably years ago, right after I got back from Lisbon. So yeah, it's probably been over 2 years, and it was sitting in my studio collecting dust, waiting to be finished, and it needed significant, I don't know if you can see it, but all this brown, that like light brown, are all adjustments to the perspective of what was there, because I had really kind of messed that up. And so that's what we've been focused on the first hour or so of the, well, it really took probably half an hour, 45 minutes of the live stream at the beginning was just, let's get this fixed a little bit to make sure the proportions and perspective, not proportions, but the perspective was correct. And so, yeah, now I'm going back in around all these things. Okay, and some of this I'm just going to put this color up in here because I like the kind of purplish, look how much more purple that looks. Isn't that kind of crazy? How much more purple it looks with some of that sky color around. I like the purple for the shadow of the clouds. Okay, now I'm coming, as we get down toward the horizon, again, I'm coming with a little bit of a lighter value and bringing that up into this so that we have lighter values down here and darker values up in here. This is, I think, too green, so we'll blend that in. We need to come in kind of the darker blue up in here. Again, I like these clouds, so I want to kind of keep them. I like the composition of them. So I'm just kind of cutting around them, and then we'll go back and redo the clouds. Not redo them, but kind of restate them in oil. But there won't be a whole lot we need to do, I don't think. Hi there, Aunt Susie. Thank you. Thanks for popping in. I am, this gives me a chance to kind of also reform some of these clouds, because I do want them to feel like they're way out in the distance. And by doing the kind of skyline along there, it will help them to recede way back in there, if that makes sense. Now, I wonder if we so we want it to almost, I may have to come back in, but we almost want that, not just with the clouds, but with the horizon line as well. We want it to almost disappear, like the water and the horizon to come together. So we'll have to kind of finagle this. Then what I'm going to do is come back with the green, and we're going to take some white into the green, and we're going to lighten very farthest, because that's where the sun is shining. We're seeing the glare off the water. The closer it gets to us, the more direct down we see, and so it's darker the closer it is to us, if that makes sense. It's a darker value. So for example, in this painting, the lighter reflection is back there, and then as it comes closer, there's wave movement and darker as it gets closer to us. So that's how we create that illusion, is by I learned that from a guy on YouTube called Mural Joe. His name's Joe. I'm not sure what his last name is, but he's a really thoughtful painter. And he explained, like, when you're looking at water, what you see is either a reflection of the sky, or it's always a reflection of the sky, but to what extent is it a reflection of the sky? And then, or you're seeing what's under the water. And that kind of mix of, so when we come water down, it's lighter values here, darker values closer. Sky is lighter values here, darker closer. And if you think about it, it makes sense, because the water here is closer to us, so we're looking more through the bottom of the ocean. The sky up here above us, we're looking straight up into, so it's going to have that darker value. So anyway, that's a little trick or thought behind why things look like they do in nature, and how you can trick our eyes to see the same way in a painting. And that's why sometimes if it's not right in the painting, it will look off and you won't be able to tell why. And that is perhaps why. Now I'm trying to go through and smooth this horizon out. I don't want to take the green clear up into the sky too much, but I want to smooth out that line. You can still see kind of my drawing there where I corrected, but we want to cover that. I may have to do another layer, but let's bring back my blue. Is that my blue brush? Is that the one I was using? I don't think so. That's just stained blue. Oh yeah, no it isn't. Rats. I didn't want to use that, but okay. So we do the same thing here. And what I'm trying to do is get the value of the sky and the value of the water almost to the same level. Almost to the same level, if that makes sense. So they almost blend together. It's going to give us that illusion that as you go back, the sky and the water, they disappear into each other. So that's the challenge. And I think the biggest challenge here is because the green is such a strong, potent color no matter what. And it's also translucent, so the that shines through the line. So let's put some white in there. Let's get this green. Need to maybe a little more turquoise. Just a tad. Super powerful. This makes me so happy though, because the painting is feeling salvageable. Okay, now let me go back here. I'm pretty dramatically lightening the value of the water. So we go back. There we go. See how it almost disappears into the sky? That's the illusion I'm looking for. It's a subtle thing, but it's kind of cool. And it's kind of how our eyes see, not how pictures, cameras see. And that's a challenge of, I think, modern, for us contemporary artists, is you have to learn these tricks of how does our eye actually see as opposed to how cameras take photos, because otherwise you end up with super hyper realistic, which is fine, and there are a lot of artists that do, where you can't tell, was that a painting or is that a photograph? And I think it's really cool, like the people who do it well, but that's not really what I want to do. So yeah, it is. Notice how just adding that little bit of white back gives you the feeling of the water receding out into the distance. And then this looks closer because it's darker. And we can put some variation in there because obviously the light is catching waves in different ways. But yeah, pretty cool little trick, isn't it? Okay, now let's let that sit. I'm gonna put these brushes up, and I'm gonna step back for a minute from the painting. I kind of look over at how it looks on your screen. But it helps me and that gives me perspective. But yeah, that looks so much better than what I had before. And the orange of the of the rooftops pops out so brightly, which is how it feels when you're in Lisbon on a sunny day. You're just like, what? It's just overwhelming because especially that area of Lisbon, um, which I think is called the Alfama district, is just all of these bright orange rooftops, and it's breathtaking. I've seen those terracotta rooftops elsewhere, like pictures of even the Southwest here in the States, but Italy and those types of places. But Lisbon kind of stole my heart because of just the uniqueness to me of anything I've seen. Maybe there are other cities, but even when we were up north in Porto, it did not seem the same. That feeling was not the same as it was in Lisbon. So I am a little now, okay, I see a little thing that I need to fix, or I want to address. So I'm going to come back over here, and we are going to pardon me, I don't want to knock the camera, but there, I just did. Okay, I want to come into the sky. I need to come in here, and this is need to begin to carve out this very unique looking cupola. I want to do it because it's so important. This comes way back in here. It's almost like a little chocolate, almost like a chocolate truffle sitting up there on top of just the shape of it. Okay, let me see if I can't really do this with my left hand. Can always cut back into it. This might be now. I need to take this down just a little bit. So it's more of a again, if I get, like Big Toad said, architecture is so difficult to get but if you get the right shape, you really start to get it right. So there you can see we're gonna have to do another coat, but that's okay. Okay. Now, let's see. What can we do? Let's see if we can carve, since we're already up there, some of this. Ooh, that's really red. Okay, this is, there you can, it looks white on your screen, but it's really pink. You can see, oh, you can't see that, but actually, I'm wondering if I should use kind of that, maybe not quite so pinky. But I need to have kind of a pink color, and then we need a cooler color. So let's see if we can take this over here, maybe even a little blue. Knock back that pink. I don't know if you can see, that's too much glare. There, if I put up, here, let me turn my light away. Okay, now you can see kind of this color, and this will be my shadow color on the building. So I kind of have a rosy kind of white and a bluish gray kind of white. So we'll come in here. Let's start to put these forms in. So let me just suggest some of this. This will be good because the light here is coming from above, and so we'll have kind of this. See if we can get this. Then we'll do a little bit right there. This is almost like doing a new underpainting in a way, but it should be able to, we should be able to improve it because our underlying drawing is much more accurate. And actually, this isn't the sun. I'm noticing it's not necessarily the sunlight. I had that wrong. It's actually the reflection from these orange roofs that it's creating a little pink light. So that's why it is kind of that. But it's reading like this is in the sunlight, but I'll have to figure that out because I don't want it that way. It is definitely in the shade. The sun is coming from this side. But there's just clouds. So learn and live and learn. Is a little too, this is good for This brush is good for it's really soft, so I need a firmer brush. So I'm going to have to switch this out. Where's a firmer brush? Yeah, that one will work. Let's use this one. We'll need to, this is pretty blue down here. It's hard to see in this, but it's pretty gray, this color, which is crazy that it reads so white up there. So this, and then we'll take this down here. This still isn't correct because look at all of the it's still not correct, but it gives us kind of a working point. It gives us enough to realize what's not working, if that makes sense. These spots are much like the roof line is up here in the other. So I think I got that roof line still wrong. These are a little bit wider. This comes down here, kind of a so let me kind of it's got like another layer. Hey there, Aunt Linda, Uncle John. Thanks so much for popping in. Okay, so this is where we want, okay, this comes here, then goes pretty far out here. It's like that dark. Then it kind of has a line there. We have one of these things here. It's almost like a sculpture. You just keep going. This goes out actually kind of like that. There's like some sort of something there. If we can just put some shadows in, this starts to give us then that same sense of 3 dimensions, and so we can start to see if where we are off. Because this roof line is off. This one and this one were off. So we have our top point comes down through the window, that roof line. I took it down, but it needs to come right in there, I think. So we have this, then it's got like a, let's do this. This is more the value we need. It's not usually my cup of tea, but architecture, meaning painting architecture, but it is The values are correct, the colors almost don't matter. Not totally, but almost. Okay, let's try to put this as close to the water as we can get without turning green. We may have some green hints in there, but we're going to try to avoid it as much as possible. Okay. Yeah. Now, we'll have to adjust this because I misdrew that again. It's crazy how you can be looking right at something and mess up the drawing. This is where the this goes way out into the I'll have to my goal is to just get the right drawing in. It's always amazing to me how much you can suggest about what's there with just a few little marks. If I get these right, you just come back and fix those up. And there. Now let's start to want to put look weird, but we'll keep adjusting this as we go. to get the right highlights in the right places. It's almost like painting a face, actually. Oh, we got 10 minutes. Okay, let's see what we can do in 10 minutes. This is a pretty dark ledge as far as the whatever is built up under there. So let's put that in because it definitely creates the shape of the place. So we need that to be pretty accurate. This is the same. There's kind of this dark thing at the base of these windows. Always correcting the my drawing. All right, kind of getting there. Want a light kind of let's put this in. So this needs on the inside, it's kind of all the way across. I've been concentrating so much usually I take my glasses off too. That's probably affecting me. I was like, oh, my eyes are tired and fatigued. But I've been, for most of this, like really focusing on getting it this is a little too round. It's got to be more, I think, more oval like this. We'll work on that because it'll throw everything off if that's not right. So really is learning to see in a different way. Ooh. Okay, I gotta stop. But I am encouraged. We are much better than where we were. Although this still seems so... Maybe not. Once we bring that roof line up, but it just seems like so off. Let's put this in so that we can start to... This is so long. Like, I guess maybe I can bring the roof line. The roof line needs to come up a little bit. And this, it needs to come up, like the whole thing needs to come up. Well, that's the hard thing. You don't see it until you see it. Let me do one more thing. Just gonna kind of again fix the drawing a little bit. I still think it needs to I don't understand. Oh, this is off. This needs to come over here. This needs to be lowered. Okay, so that is approximately where we will put the roof line. And then this, let's put some, what was this color we had in there? Was it the kind of that peachy? Okay, so this needs to then come up. So now we need to go up here. Let's just correct this as much as we can. We need to bring this all because this is a I just want to get the real, oops, that's too bright. I want to get the roof line as close to accurate as possible. Oops. I'm gonna need more paint. Oh, I hate doing that at the end, but and I know I've gone over, so I appreciate y'all just hanging with me. Feel free to bounce if you have to. Whoops. There. Okay, I'm gonna have to really work that, but it is giving the space I think that we need. Again, nobody would know, but Whoops. That's a little better. Now if we bring, I'm afraid to bring this up too much, but it kind of needs to. There we go. There, I think we're much more accurate. If this comes down a little bit, then that will be good. So let's do that a little bit. Ooh, I think we're getting the correct roof line slowly. Okay. That's, I think, pretty correct. I can't see what I'm doing wrong here, but I think it is, this comes down, all of this comes down a little bit. Take that top. There we go. All right. Much improved. I really like the sky and water. I like the church. It really draws our eye here. I'm not going to do as much detail back here because I really want this to be the focal point. So I'm going to play all the games I can as an artist to push people's eyes there. The horizon points there, the roof lines point there, the clouds point there. Yeah, so that's where my mind is. I appreciate those of you who stayed an extra 20 minutes. Thank you. I don't know, maybe nobody's there, but I am grateful. And maybe I will post a picture of where we started. I'll try to screen capture where it started, where it is, hopefully where we're going. But I think this is going to be a much more satisfying painting with the really dramatic saturation here, these bright, typical orange terracotta. We don't have to do a lot there because it stands out as it is. So let's go back here. I will bring you back to this camera while I turn this one around to say good night. I appreciate you as always hanging out with me. I will be back Monday at 6 p.m. as always, 6 p.m. Mountain Time. All right, so let's go. There's still a few of you here, looks like. Let me come back to here, and this is painting that we have salvaged from the pile. I didn't know what to do to salvage it, and now I kind of do. And yeah, I'm liking where it's going. It's very cool. So we are getting there. I'm going to put this one out of the way so I don't get paint on it, but I do want to thank you so much again for joining me. Next week will be episode 164 of the Paint Party Livestream. If you're interested at all in my thinking around creativity and art, you can connect with me on Substack. Even if you're not on Substack or you don't want another app to keep track of, you can sign up there for emails. I send out typically a Tuesday email that has an article on something I'm thinking about thematically around creativity. And then on Friday, I post and send like the complete roundup of the week, so you can catch it there. thecreativeedge.substack.com, thecreativeedge.substack.com, and it is free. I don't have a paid tier or any extra bells and whistles, so you can connect with me there if that's of interest to you. Otherwise, thanks so much for hanging with me for a couple hours here in the studio. It's always a pleasure to have you. I'll look forward to being with you next time on the Paint Party live stream next Monday night at 6 p.m. Mountain Time. Until then, have a great evening and a great week, everybody. Take care and stay safe.